should never do. You have no choice, this is happening. The number one thing a mascot should never do, a mascot should never be mean to kids.
Come on, man, I mean, week 15, everybody's doing holiday shopping. They forgot to do a couple things on the football team. The annual Vikings halftime mascot game, the top mascot booth today. This is Pop Roach here, a little too soon. Hey, now, hold me now, serious about this. My boy, Blue,
celebrate with opposing players.
Because it's really creepy.
Very creepy. And finally, the number one thing a mascot should never do, a mascot should never take off their mask in front of people. And a few things about him. In 2003, he won a national championship for college mascots. In 2006, he actually created blue for the Indianapolis Colts. And in 2016, he won the NFL Mascot of the Year award. So give it up for the man behind the mask, Trey.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Come on, how's everybody doing today? That's better. All right, so listen, my name is Trey. And for the last 13 years, I've been the mascot for the Indianapolis Colts. I realized being here that this is Bears country. How many Bears fans do we have in here? Yeah, a lot. Are we respect that? Let me see you raise your hand real quick if you're a Colts fan. We got a couple. Raise your hand real quick if you're a fan of another football team that's not the Colts or the Bears. All right, right on. Well, I'm here today to talk to you. About my career as a mascot. I'm originally from Marietta, Georgia, but I went to Auburn University. I went to Auburn for architecture, but all that changed when I saw this guy. This is Albie. He's the mascot for Auburn. I watched him my entire first year at Auburn, and he was super hilarious. He was super athletic, and to be honest, he was doing things that most people would get arrested for. So I decided that year that I had to be a part of this. I had to try out. So in 2002, I was one of 3 students selected to be Albie. Now, my favorite stories growing up were Choose Your Own Adventure stories. Has anybody ever read a Choose Your Own Adventure story? No? So this is how it works. You get to a certain page and you get to decide There's a fork in the road, you get to make a decision, and you turn to that page based on that decision. And that's what we're gonna do today. You get to choose the next story of this talk. It's an experience that I had as Albie at Auburn University, and you get to decide between a funny story or a gross story. What do you guys want to hear, funny or gross? All right, we're gonna do it on the count of 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. I think I'm closer to this side. I feel like this side right here said gross, so we're gonna go with gross. All right, so we're gonna go with gross, so here's the story. What you need to know about Albie before I tell you this story, it's about the suit. The suit has been made the same way for 40 years. There's a new suit every year, but it's made by the same materials. Specifically, the head is made out of fiberglass. So it's super harmful to put on. It can break and cut you. It doesn't breathe very well, so it's really hot. But what you need to know for this story is that these 2 cheeks right here, they form 2 pockets on the inside of the head. And all the sweat from your appearance collects in these 2 pockets. And you could take the head off afterwards and tip it and watch all the sweat come pouring out. It's really gross. That's not the gross story though. So here's the gross story. My first football game was September 28, 2002. What you don't know about this picture is that it's 115 degrees on the field that day. It was really hot. And inside of a mascot suit, it can get up to 40 degrees hotter than whatever temperature you're in. So it was getting up to 155 degrees that day. Now there's 3 of us, and we rotate through a ton of appearances. We have about 7 appearances before the game, and then we split up the game. Pre-game, kickoff, first and second quarter, halftime, third and fourth. So we just rotate. So I've already been in the suit a lot that day, and I ended up with the 4th quarter appearance. Now there's a box on the field that looks just like this, and it's in this corner of the field. The box is made for Albie. So Albie can see over the field, watch the game, and also entertain the fans behind you. So here we are, 4th quarter, I'm in costume. Remember, 115 degrees on the field. And the 4th quarter ends in a tie. So we head to overtime. So my appearance is done. So I look down at the 2 other Albies who are out of costume, and I make this motion. Who wants to switch? And they both look up to me at the same time and they go, nah bro, we're good. So I do the first overtime, which ends in a tie. So I look down again. Who wants to switch? Again. No, bro, you're on your own. So I do the second overtime, which ends in a tie. We go to 3 overtimes, and Auburn finally wins the game. And I'm in costume for all 3 overtimes with no help from these scrubs on the sideline. So we win the game, and it's a tradition that Albie takes the run-out flag, this huge Auburn flag. He goes to the 50-yard line and starts waving it. And a player always grabs it from Albie. So that happened. And then I just feel exhausted. I'm tired. I want to get out of the suit. It smells really bad in the suit. I turn and I've got about 60 or 70 yards to make it to the tunnel. I just got to make it to the tunnel. I can finally get out of this costume. So I start walking. And then something happened on the 20-yard line. I was so dehydrated from the game that I threw up in costume. Yeah. Remember how sweat collects in those 2 pockets? Vomit also collects there. And every step it was swish, swish, and I would vomit again. Swish, swish, and vomit again for another 30 or 40 yards. So I finally make it to the tunnel, I get into a bathroom, and I can't get out of the costume. Because Albie's hands are not like Blue's. See, I can take these gloves off whenever I want. But Albie's hands are sewn straight into the sleeves. My hands were so wet that day I couldn't grab the zipper, and I couldn't take the suit off. And how Albie's head works, the head clips underneath your armpits, and then you zip the suit off. So if you can't get the suit off, you can't get the head off. So I'm sitting there waiting for help, trapped by myself in a bathroom, dressed like a pretend tiger, covered in my own vomit, just waiting. Finally, one of these Albies comes over, finds me in the bathroom, and he recognizes that I need help. Now, I can't warn him that I've been throwing up, because that's not a rule you break in college. You can't speak in costume. So he unzips the suit, and take off the head, and then I projectile vomited all over him. Yeah, it was really gross. Really gross. And I don't know if it was worse for me that day or for him, but I can tell you that no one ever saw that suit again because we burned it because it was so gross. But from those two guys that I learned how to be a mascot from, those other two Albies, it was their second year, it was my rookie year. So I learned how to be successful because of them. The number one rule to being successful is that you need to get laughs and applause. If you can get laughs and applause as a mascot, you can be the most successful mascot in the game. And we were really successful. Like Caroline mentioned, in 2003, we won a national championship for college mascots. And then I was recruited out of school by the Atlanta Falcons to be their mascot, and then to the Buffalo Bills. And then in 2006, I created Blue for the Colts. They didn't have a mascot, I got hired, and my first job was to create the suit. So I sketched it out, we picked out the color of the fur, the shape of the head, the blowers that come out of the nostrils, we put it all together, and here's the first picture that I ever took in costume with my best friend from Auburn. And again, to be successful, all you need to do is get two things, laughs and applause. And man, we were really successful. In the past 13 years as Blue, I've been able to do the coolest things. I get to run the team out every single game. I get to hang out on the sidelines. I get to be a part of the game, part of our fans' lives. I've gotten to do some really cool things. We've been to 2 Super Bowls. We won one, and we won't talk about the other one. I've been to 7 Pro Bowls. I've traveled across the entire world, Japan, Hong Kong, Europe. Been to most parts of this country. And I've also been able to do the coolest stunts. The first appearance that I ever did, after I took that picture, I went skydiving in costume. And then just because I thought it was cool, I decided to go bungee jumping out of a hot air balloon. And just last year, the city gave me an Indy car to drive around in costume all over the city, as if that's a safe idea. And every single time I did something cool or went on a cool appearance or went somewhere, it made me feel really good inside. But that moment was really fleeting. The next day I would wake up and I would feel empty on the inside. So I would chase it again. I would chase the new cool toy to have as Blue, or the new cool experience, the new cool stunt. And over again, I just left me feeling empty. Until in 2010, we had an appearance request. It was for Karen Rizzi, and it was a Make-A-Wish request. Now this day, I had 7 appearances to do. We were busy all day, driving all across the place doing appearances. And then the person organizing it said, hey, don't worry about that. Karen just wants a picture with Blue on the field at the stadium. It'll take 5 minutes. And we said 5 minutes we have. So we went down there, we were excited to meet the family and take this picture. And this is the family I saw that day. Now I'm immediately trying to figure out, as I'm dressed in blue, I'm trying to figure out which one of these daughters is Karen. And what I quickly realized is that Karen is the mom in this photo. See, Karen was battling cancer, and her one wish was to create the perfect day for her family. Because every single time they drove past our stadium, they would point, all of her kids would point and say, hey mom, that's where Blue lives. So she took this one day to create an opportunity where her kids could meet their favorite mascot and we could take a picture. And what was supposed to be 5 minutes ended up turning into 2.5 hours of us laughing and playing and tossing around footballs and taking pictures. In fact, this is a picture from that day. See, Karen couldn't even get out of her wheelchair, and she still kicked all of our butts in the dance-off. It was amazing. It was the coolest thing to see. She had the greatest attitude. It was nothing but happiness and joy for 2.5 hours. And then they left the field. I waved goodbye, and I thought to myself, man, that made me feel amazing. And I woke up the next day, and I still felt amazing. And the next day, the same thing. And I couldn't put my finger exactly on why this appearance was different from any other appearance I had done. And it stayed with me for a couple months until December 9th, 2010. We're playing the Titans at Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm walking the sidelines, I have a t-shirt cannon. I'm about to shoot a bunch of t-shirts into the crowd. And I'm stopped by a police officer. And the police officer says, hey Blue, there's a woman about 13 rows up into the stands. And she's been begging to see you. Do you have a second to go up and see her? And now normally I don't do this, especially right before a promotion. I don't go into the stands. But something about that day, I did. So I climbed up the wall and I started walking up to the 13th row. Now halfway up, and she's on the other side of these bleachers. Halfway up, she sees me, and she stands up and she starts pushing people out of the way. I immediately start thinking, oh no, what have I done to this person? What is she gonna do when she gets to the end of the row? And she gets to the end of the row, and she throws her arms around me, and she starts crying. And I'm really confused. I'm dressed in a 7-foot blue horse costume, hugging this 5'0" woman who I've never met before, and she's crying. What is going on? And after a few minutes, she's able to speak, and she said, hey Blue, I know you don't know me. My name is Angie, but you do know my daughter, Karen. And about 2 months ago, you did an appearance for Karen and her family, and I just wanted to tell you thank you. And I also wanted to let you know that just last week, Karen lost her battle to cancer. So I started crying. So here we are in a stadium full of people, hugging onto each other, crying. And the one thing that I thought of was, no matter what happens next, don't let go of this hug first. Let her hug you for as long as she needs to. And when she lets go, that's okay. You can let go then. So we just held on to each other. And a few more minutes went by, and she said another thing to me that has stuck with me ever since. She said, Blue, I'll never be able to repay you for what you gave my family. We spent a few more moments together, and then eventually I went back down on the field. I don't know if we won or lost that day, but I do remember being in my locker room afterwards. And I remember thinking about this sweet family. And I remember thinking about what Angie said to me. I'll never be able to repay you for what you gave my family. And the one word that stuck out to me that day, in that sentence, was the word gave. My entire career had been about getting something. In order to be successful, I needed to get something. I needed to take something from you to make myself feel better. And what I realized in that moment was the greatest thing that I had ever done is when I gave something. Because choosing to give is choosing to love. It's choosing to care more about another person before you care about yourself. So in that moment, I decided from now on, I'm going to stop trying to get, and I'm going to start trying to give. In order to be successful, I needed to give. And I decided something else that day. Based on the hug that I had had with Angie, from now on, when I was in costume and someone hugged me, I was never going to let go first. Something really small, but significant based on what had happened to me. And the thing is, it wasn't small. It turned into this huge thing. Because people would come up and hug me, complete strangers, and they wouldn't let go. For 5 or 6 minutes, we would hold on to each other. And then they would start talking. Blue, I'm going through a lot right now. I just needed this hug. Blue, I've had the worst day ever. Thank you for taking the time to care. Hey, Blue, I just wanted to know that someone loved me. Thank you. And this happened over and over and over again. Until one day, we're at the Colts complex. It's our training facility. We're hosting an event, and the same thing happened. This woman came up, she gave me a huge bear hug. I hugged her back, and for 5 or 6 moments, we had an amazing exchange. She talked, I spoke back. She walked away, and one of my coworkers witnessed this. And he had witnessed it over and over again, the same thing. And he said something to me that day. He said, wouldn't the world be a better place if everyone could love the way Blue loves people? And I said, why do you think that is? Why do you think it's so easy for Blue to connect with people and for people to return that love? And he says, it's easy. It's because you hide behind a mask. Which I said to him, dude, this is the only time I'm not wearing a mask. When I'm in Blue, I get to be who I really want to be. I get to go up to complete strangers and hug them, show them that I care about them. I get to come through here, I don't know any of you, and I get to high five you. And we have this exchange. I get to make people happy, and I don't know them. So my argument to him was the only time that I'm wearing a mask is not when I'm Blue, but it's when I'm outside the costume. Because it's hard for me to connect with people just as myself. And my theory is that most of us walk around wearing masks, and that's why it's hard for us to connect with each other. And if that doesn't make a lot of sense, I brought a fish tank with me to clear it up. Who's been wondering, why is there a fish tank in our gym right now? All right, so here, I'm gonna tell you why. All right, so check this out. This is my fish tank. What's important about the fish tank is the water on the inside. This water is clean, it's pure, it's innocent. It is how we are all born into this world. My wife and I have a 5-year-old and almost 3-year-old. And when they meet you, they want to know your name, they want to tell you their name, they want to sing you a song, they want to dance with you, they want to color you a picture. You guys are going to hug and walk away best friends. This is how our kids look like on the inside. This is them. And the thing that I'm most scared about being a father is that at some point in their lives, just like in my life, just like in all of our lives, fear is going to enter in. They're going to know what fear feels like. And this is what happens on the inside when fear enters our lives. And fear has a lot of different names, right? Jealousy, depression, anxiety, hate and anger. And what used to be pure and loving and unafraid turns into this. And what I want you all to know is that I have felt every single one of these emotions. This is what I looked like in 2010. And my theory is that most of us look like this on the inside. And we hide this with a mask. We mask what's going on because we don't want people to see what's really going on, what we're really dealing with. My mask as a professional mascot, remember, to be successful, I needed to get laughs and applause. That's a good thing. Making someone laugh is great. Giving applause for a job well done is awesome. But here's the problem, is I was trying to fix this with this. And it made me feel good for a moment, but long term, it didn't do anything for what I was dealing with on the inside. You guys are in high school right now. A lot of you are concerned about grades. What happens next after high school? Am I going to go to college? Am I going to go to a trade school? What job am I going to have? The greatest job in the world and all the A's in the world can't fix what's going on the inside. That's a great thing. Having a cool job is awesome. Making an A on a test is awesome. But it's not going to fix what you're truly dealing with on the inside. And then popularity, especially with social media. How many friends do I have on social media? How many likes does this picture have? The ultimate mask for who we really are. And having friends on social media is great. And posting something that gets a lot of likes is awesome. But it's not going to do anything for what we really are truly dealing with. And then a lot of us mask what's going on with stuff. If I can just have the right clothes. If I can just have the right phone. If I just had a phone. Am I going to have a nice enough car one day? Am I going to make enough money? There's not enough money in the world to fix it either. So then what? And I'm here, bless you. And I'm here to tell you again that this is what I looked like in 2010. This was me. I had felt every single one of these emotions and I had tried to mask what was going on. Until I met the Rizzi family. Until I talked to Angie that day. And until I made the decision to choose to give. Because remember, choosing to give is choosing to love. And the day that I chose love, this is what happened in my life. It made me feel amazing. So I woke up the next day and I still felt that way. And I wanted to do it again. So I did. And then I woke up the next day and I wanted to do it again. And again until it became habit. And then habit became the foundation of who I am as a person. And who I wanted to be as Blue. And over time, making the decision to love every single day took away all the fear and the hate and the jealousy and the depression and the anxiety. And this is how I looked like on the inside. This is how I felt. And the number one question we get at this point in the show, the number one question we get, so all I have to do is decide to choose love one time and then that's it. I don't have to worry about fear or hate or any of those things. That's not what I'm saying. Because you can choose this. You can choose to feel this way. By choosing to love others, you can feel this way. You can control that. You can't control how others feel, how others act. Even if you get to this point, which is an amazing place to be, you're going to have outside forces of fear and hate and anxiety But here's the thing. When those things try to enter your life, if you choose a foundation based on love, a life that's based on love, when these things enter, it might sting for a minute, for a day, for a week, but ultimately it cannot change who you are on the inside. Because the foundation of your life is based on love. And here's the thing, if you can get to this point, it's an amazing place to be, right? And hey, listen up, this is the most important part. If you can get to this point, it's an amazing place to be. But if you don't do anything with this, then you are wasting a gift. Because we all know someone who's hurting. Students, maybe you know a friend who's hurting. Maybe it's a family member. Teachers, maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's someone who's in this gym right now that you don't really know that well, but you know they're going through a really hard time. And no matter who that person is, we all have someone in our lives who's hurting. And if you don't do something about it, they could stay this way forever. But if you will take the time, and when I say time, I don't mean send them a text message or an email or a direct message on social media, but if you will take the time to go face to face up to that person and tell them that you care and pour that love into their lives, not only can it change their lives, but that will overflow into other lives, and into other lives, and into other lives. And this is the only way we can bring about change in the world. This is it. So listen, this is the only way we can make change in the world. If you don't like what's going on in your school, if you don't like the hate and the anger that's happening, if you don't like the hate and anger that's happening in your community, what's happening in our country right now, and how divided we are, what's happening in the world, 10 years from now, the leaders of your city are all right here. You're going to be the leaders. You're going to be the teachers. You're going to be the politicians, the doctors, the servicemen and women. And if you want change in this community, then you can make that change today. We have to make it together. This whole idea of me taking off my mask is not popular with other mascots. They don't like it. They don't understand why I would break the biggest rule by taking off my mask in front of people. And here's the thing. This message, the message of choosing love, is so much more important than a silly rule. And at the end of my life, I don't want people to look back and say, oh, he was a great mascot, even if I'm the greatest mascot ever. Because I want to be remembered as a good husband. I want to be remembered as a good father. I want to be remembered as a good friend. And we've all heard this quote before, right? Leave the world a little bit better than you found it. And that seems huge and almost impossible. So we want to shrink it down for you today. Here's what we're asking. We want you to leave your school a little bit better than you found it. And here's how. Here's how. Figure out what your mask is and stop hiding behind it and try to connect with people. You guys ready for the next part? I want every single person in this gym to know something. Students and teachers, you have a platform. How many of you, be honest, how many of you knew my name before we walked in here today? Maybe a couple people. Do you know why that is? Because I'm not a celebrity. Blue is a celebrity, I am not. But I have a platform, and I'm choosing to use this platform to speak to you today about this message. You have a platform. You have a platform in your classroom, in the hallways. If you play on a sports team, if you're in the theater, if you're in another club, you have a platform at your dining room table. And you also have a story. We got 5 more minutes, guys, and I promise we'll get you guys out of here, all right? Bear with me, okay? So listen, if everyone has a platform and everyone has a story, what's missing? Someone just needs to be willing to listen. So number 1, listen to each other. Listen to each other. Find somebody that you trust that you can share your story with. And if somebody comes up to you and says, I want to talk, I have something to say, be willing to listen to what they have to say. Because you might be the only person that they come up to. And then once a day, just once a day, find someone to help. And if everyone goes home today, and you're asked how your day was, and you say, oh, the crazy Colts mascot came and took off his mask, and he shared some things that sounded right, but I'm not really sure about him, then I want you to take it from two doctors, all right? This was the top psychiatrist in the world. The top psychiatrist in the world. In 1981, he won the Presidential Medal of Freedom. All the top psychiatrists in the world got together to listen to him speak. And he was asked this question at the end of his lecture. What advice would you give someone who feels stress-induced depression or anxiety? This is the fish tank. This is what we're talking about. The smartest person in the world was asked this question, and this is what he said. Find someone in need and do something for them. If you're dealing with a lot today, if your fish tank looks dark, and if you don't do anything about it, if you're idle, it's going to churn and churn inside of you and get worse and worse. But if you will leave where you are and show compassion to someone else, not only will that love help them, that love will overpour into your life. And if you don't like what he had to say, I have one more doctor for you. Dr. Chris Pratt. This is what Chris Pratt had to say, all right? Hey, this is what we do in elementary schools. You guys ready? There you go. One more time. Hey, listen. If you're talking right now and you're bored by this message, if you're talking right now and you're bored by this message, that's okay. But there are people around you that want to hear it. So if you would do me a favor and just give me 2 more minutes of your time, all right? This is what Chris Pratt had to say. If you are strong, be a protector, and if you are smart, be a humble influencer, and listen to this next part. Strength and intelligence can be weapons. Do not wield them against the weak. That makes you a bully. Be bigger than that. It doesn't matter if you say it face-to-face, through a text message, through an email, on social media. If you're mean to someone else, if you use those weapons against someone else, it makes you a bully. And I want every single person in here to know, if you've not heard it before, that you are strong and you are smart. Every single one of you is strong and smart. Use those for good. Don't use them as weapons. And here's the last thing. Don't waste time. Check this out. If you live to be 75 years old, you're going to spend 25 years and 3 months asleep. You're going to spend 11 years and 6 months watching TV. 7 years and 10 months eating and drinking. 6 years and 2 months in some form of transportation. And listen to this next one. 3 years and 3 months online. Almost your entire high school career, from start to finish, day and night, you're going to spend online. And after all that's said and done, you have some time remaining. And the time you have remaining is your choice what to do with. And this is it. 183,960 hours. What you do with your time is your choice. It's not your friend's choice. It's not a teacher's choice. It's not a parent's choice. It's your choice, and that's it. Freshmen, can I see some hands real quick? All of our freshmen in here. This year, in your life, you've already spent 36,792 hours. So as freshmen, this is the time that you have left. Making the decision to choose love is not something you can wait for. You have to make the decision today. You can't wait for tomorrow. You can't wait as your New Year's resolution going into next semester, because time is ticking right now. And if you feel a sense of urgency, that's a good thing, because there's still time to change. If you live to be 75 years old, you have 4 times the life you've already lived ahead of you. And we hope that you choose love with every single step, every single hour that you have. Hey, thank you guys for having us today. I really appreciate it. University, you guys are amazing. Please continue to choose love. I know there's great leaders in here. Keep going. Don't give up. And listen, if you feel like you're not being heard and need somebody to listen to, we'll be up here for the next 10 or 20 minutes. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much.